So I have cooked up what I think is a pretty solid budget gun build for the M4A1 in Delta Force, and I wanted to share it with y'all today. So we'll hop right into modify and get started with the muzzle. So we have a number of options as the muzzle. Your best budget will be the titanium contest muzzle brake, as it'll give you 12 control, only -3 handling, and it's only 28,000. If you want to run silenced, you can go with the M7 practical suppressor. It is a little bit more expensive and you lose a bunch of handling. You're going to lose a bunch of handling no matter what suppressor you run for the most part, unless you're spending quite a bit of money. But yeah, so personally, I don't think silencing is too important. It just depends how you play. Generally, my teams are running at people, so it doesn't matter as much. But anyways, yeah, so running it, the titanium contest muzzle brake. Moving on from there, for your left rail, you're going to want to run the Python handguard just to get a little bit extra handling. In general, 5K for 1 point of handling or control is a pretty good goal to go for. That, for example, is why I'm not actually going for a barrel. It doesn't really seem worth it if you look at the negatives and positives and then divide them over how expensive the barrels are, especially for a budget build like this. It's just not worth it. So we're going to skip over the barrel and move on to the right rail, where we will put another Python handguard on there. Then going for our foregrip, there's actually a lot of options and it can be a little bit confusing to go through all of them. But personally, I actually want to go with a slightly better foregrip than the blues and greens. I know it's a budget build, but if you have the money, I personally think that the X25U angled combat foregrip is really nice because you get that 10 control and you only lose 3 handling and 3 stability. If you look at a lot of the other foregrips, they're all going to be decently expensive. You can, run ones that are just +6 to control. But if you're going to do that, I don't know, it just doesn't really seem worth it with how expensive they are. I think the 10 to control is worth it, and you only lose 3 handling, which we will gain back from the handguards as well. So the extra handling definitely makes a big difference. So on our upper rail, this is going to be our other expensive part of the build. You definitely want to run a laser. It just adds so much handling to the build. Definitely 100% worth it. Keep in mind, a fair amount of this can be got from barters, and especially from the random ones as well. And you can also make at least in the technical test, it was 4 of the lasers in your supply in your black site. So I'll go through that later and just show y'all where that is. But for the rest of our rails, again, we're just going to add on the handling. If you're having trouble controlling it, you can always add on the one that has control, but I find that handling is the biggest issue with this gun. So we have all of our rails on. Moving on to our mag mount, definitely doesn't matter, just pick your favorite color and you can throw it on there. It gives you one more handling as well. And then for the mag, we're actually going to skip out on the 45 or 60 round mag. My reasoning is that generally it'll take about 130 round mag to kill a fully purple or gold armored player. And you're so the 45 and 60, it's not going to help you kill a full team. It might, but I don't think it's worth the loss in handling, especially when reloads are pretty quick. And you just lose a ton of handling. And I think that the ADS speed slowdown will kill you before you get to use the entire mag. So that's just personal opinion. If you want a bigger mag, you can definitely run with one. For the rear grip, I actually think that the stable rear grip is your best bet for that extra control. If we look at the other ones, you can go with handling instead of control if that's something you're worried about. And the Hurricane one is okay, but it still only gives 2, the green ones, because you're losing out on some control. So I don't see any reason not to just run the green ones. And then our other choices, the invasion rear grips, not a bad one, but it is 10 times as expensive, and you don't really get that much more. So personally, I'm just running the stable one. I think it's the best bang for buck for sure. And again, this is one I would do on a budget or on a meta build, but for a budget build, definitely running that stable. So moving on to stock, at first I was actually going to go with the M16A4 stable stock, but the Elite light stock is only about 5K more, and it's a mix of control and handling. It's +3 to both, and the stable stock is just +5 to control. And I actually think that the Elite one is a better overall deal. It does cost 5K more, but honestly, that is less than an item worth of stuff. So I think this is the best stock, at least for a budget build. And then finally, we have moved to our optic. This is sort of personal preference, actually. You can go through your different optics and throw them on, and then you can go to the firing range and just see like what the optics look like. And it's really fast. I'll show you how to do it like from within the firing range, so you don't have to load it. Personally, I like the holographic type 2. I think it's really clean. But if you just want to do it from within the firing, like modify your weapon from within the firing range, you can go to tab, which will pull up your weapons, and hit F on your weapon, and then you can just like change the scope really quickly, right? And then if you hit exit twice again, you'll be right back. So this is how to like very easily modify your weapons and not have to load into the firing range every single time. And yeah, so my favorite like green sight at least is the holographic type 2. And then we are not done. Normally in most games, this would be the gun build. You're chilling. In Delta Force, they have calibrations. So what we can do, before we do calibrations, let me just go into view details. You can see a lot of stats about your gun. And if you click on details here, it even shows you more. It'll show you your damage fall off multiplier, which changes for different types of gun. It'll show your damage, which again is controlled by the gun, not by the bullet in Delta Force. Control shows you how basically your recoil pattern. So it has recoil patterns like CSGO, and it shows you how it changes as well depending on your current modifications, which is very cool. Handling shows you how it changes your ADS time and the other ones as well. And stability, same thing. Accuracy as well. It also explains what the different things do. Accuracy is tighter shots when firing from the hip. It doesn't actually have anything to do with aiming down sights. Stability has to do with weapon shaking during continuous fire, breathing, and etc. And then handling is, the speed. So moving on from here to calibration. Calibration is actually very important. If we look at our details right now, we're at 68, 55, 52, and 63. We can start calibrating to change those. So for example, if we start at our foregrip, or our sight, I personally would run the zoom all at 0.5. It just makes a holographic sight slightly better. And then for the pupil distance, I actually put it all the way at -20. This is sort of, personal preference. I think it just makes it look a lot cleaner. You're closer to the sight. Then moving from here onto the foregrip. So for placement, you want as much ADS speed for sure. Extra control is nice, but ADS speed is more important in my opinion. And then stability versus movement speed. Personally, I would go with the ADS movement speed. Neither of those are like too important, but yeah, that's just personal preference. Weight limit, definitely want the extra control. You don't really need aiming stability while breathing for most gunfights, at least with an assault rifle. And then for this, I would go with hip fire aim speed versus stability. Neither of them are that important. I would go stability while moving though. And then finally, for your stock, you can change the weight limit again. I'd go for the extra control. You get 6% extra control. And then I would go for the ADS speed over firing stability like that. So that is how I would calibrate this M4. And now we can go to, actually, I think we're still in the firing range. I hope that that's saved. Okay, so it did not save, but I remade it here. And then when you go to purchase this, you can see it's a total of 132,000. Again, not too bad for a gun. You can easily make 3 times that from one successful raid. So now that we have the gun fully built and fully calibrated, we will bring it to the firing range just so you can see how it does when it is fully done. And you'll find that the ADS speed is really good. And the recoil is really solid as well. I'll show you what it looks like just aiming down against the wall without holding down at all. You can see that recoil pattern pretty clearly in the green. And then, holding down. I don't have the recoil pattern exactly down, but still very accurate, very easy to use, very controlled, cheap price. So anyways, I will have the gun guide code in the description below for anyone to use that if you want. If you don't know how to use that, if you go to your loadout and you import, you can put your code that you're importing in, and it'll just automatically pull in the gun build so that you can, share loadouts with your friends. You can import your friends' codes. I will have all of my codes as well in my Discord, where I'll have a gun code sharing thing. So feel free to join the Discord. There's a link in the description to join it. But yeah, other than that, I hope y'all found this video helpful. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. You can expect a bunch more Delta Force guides coming out in the next few days. And yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.